how's it going? It's Steph Davis here from flipthiswholesaler.net. Got another reader mail video for you guys tonight. My question this evening comes from David B. David writes, hello Steph, can you tell me when you are selling an REO to an end buyer if there are any special clauses that you use in your contract? Do you tell them that you own the property or do they know you are wholesaling it from the bank? Thank you, David B. All right, I will start with his second question first. Do I tell the end buyer that I'm wholesaling the property? Yes, I do. I always like to be upfront with people so we're all on the same page and they know what's going on and there's no surprises, you know, down the road once the house is under contract. So as far as what I put in my contract with the end buyer, first of all, the deposit, I always put a $2,000 non-refundable deposit that's due when the contract is signed, no exception. So I always put that in there. The closing date, I always put the closing date exactly, you know, whatever it says in my contract with the bank. I'm going to put the closing date the same with my end buyer. One thing you want to be careful of, though, when you're dealing with bank-owned properties, when they send you their addenda, a lot of times in the addenda they will include a clause that basically it's a contract extension clause, which basically says if they aren't able to get the deal closed on time, which they're usually not, like say the title work isn't ready, that the contract will automatically extend for a certain period of time. So sometimes 10 days, 2 weeks, whatever. So if the bank has that clause in their contract and their addenda, I will just copy it verbatim and put it in my contract with my end buyer. So that way if, you know, the closing day comes and the bank isn't ready to close and then my contract automatically extends with them, I want my contract to also extend with my end buyer so they're not, you know, able to just say, well, we're out of contract, I want my earnest money deposit back, I don't want the house anymore. So that way if it extends, if we go past the closing date, my contract extends with the bank, it's also going to extend for the same period of time with my end buyer. So the other thing, the closing costs, I always put in my contracts that buyer pays all closing costs and that the closing will take place at my title company. I put the name of my title company in there. I rarely have anyone have an issue with this. Every once in a blue moon, I'll have the end buyer say, well, wait a minute, if I'm paying all the closing costs, I should, well, sometimes they'll, you know, not want to pay all the closing costs, and then, you know, in that case, you're just going to have to negotiate who's paying what. But sometimes they'll say, well, if I'm going to pay all the closing costs, then I want to use my title company. The couple times that has happened, what I've done is gotten their title company information and called them and just kind of ran the scenario by them to see if they were okay with, you know, wholesaling and double closings. And in the few times that this has happened where my buyer has wanted to use or insisted that we use his title company, they have been fine with that, and I was able to do a simultaneous closing even where I used their cash to fund my both sides of the transaction, so I didn't have to bring cash to the closing table. So in the event that, say I had someone who wanted to use their title company and I talked to their title company and they were, you know, did the whole this is illegal, you can't do this thing, I would probably try and negotiate with my buyer, maybe offer to pay all the closing costs if we could close at my title company, just to avoid the headache. So let's see what else. One other thing that I put in there is a clause that states that even though I've already told, you know, I've been upfront with my buyer letting them know that I don't own the property, I just have it under contract, I put a clause in the contract that states that the sale between myself and the end buyer is contingent upon me first purchasing the subject property from whoever the bank is. Say it's Bank of America. So the clause would say, this sale is contingent upon seller, which would be me, purchasing the subject property from Bank of America. And that's just, you know, putting in writing that I don't actually own the property, and if I'm not able to close on or purchase the property from the seller, Bank of America in this case, then I'm not going to be able to sell it to the end buyer. So just kind of covers my butt there. So I think that about covers everything. If you guys have any additional questions, feel free to leave a comment below and I I will be happy to answer them for you. So I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Have a good night. Bye-bye.